In its earliest days, the CIA attempted to fight the Cold War on the ground. They deployed teams of Ukrainian agents, parachuting into the darkness behind Soviet lines. But these drops failed before the planes even left the runway. A Soviet informant had already fed the mission details to Moscow, resulting in the immediate capture or death of every operative. The early Cold War was bound by rigid, physical borders. The Iron Curtain acted as a literal geographic obstacle, guarded by concrete barriers and checkpoints that made human infiltration nearly impossible. Moscow's intelligence network, the KGB, had spent decades perfecting their tradecraft. They ran circles around Washington's amateur spy rings, systematically dismantling American operations across Eastern Europe before they could even begin. The CIA faced an immediate internal crisis. Relying on deep-cover human operatives was a compromised strategy, leaving the agency, as one internal report put it, fatally penetrated. To survive, the agency had to pivot away from the ground war. They needed to find an arena where American industry held an absolute advantage: advanced technology. The CIA partnered with aerospace contractors like Lockheed Skunk Works to build a machine capable of operating completely outside of Soviet reach. The result was the U-2. Equipped with massive, sailplane-like wings, it could cruise in the stratosphere at 70,000 feet. At that altitude, it flew higher than any Soviet interceptor missile could reach, rendering ground-based radar useless. For the first time, Washington didn't have to rely on blind guesswork to estimate Soviet military strength. They could safely cross the Soviet heartland and bring back undeniable, high-resolution evidence of nuclear sites. This diagram of the U-2's optical system shows the sheer scale of the engineering. A camera mounted in its belly could shoot through 13 miles of atmosphere, projecting a beam down to clearly photograph an object just 2 feet wide on the ground. The U-2 succeeded by bypassing the sovereign border entirely. It proved that extreme altitude could effectively defeat geography. The attacks of September 11th destroyed the old logic of state-on-state conflict. The CIA was suddenly forced to hunt a decentralized global network that ignored traditional borders. The architect of those attacks, Osama bin Laden, vanished into the rugged, inaccessible tribal mountains of Pakistan. Locating his forces using traditional special operations would require massive costs in both dollars and American lives. The agency needed a cleaner, faster tool. They took the surveillance concept of the U-2, an eye in the sky, and merged it with lethal strike capabilities. This immediately created a total tactical disconnect. An operator sitting safely at a console in Nevada could monitor a target in Pakistan for 24 hours straight, using infrared sensors to track movements through the night without ever stepping foot in enemy territory. Outfitted with the AGM-114 Hellfire missile, the machine collapsed the intelligence cycle. The scout and the assassin were now the exact same platform. Armed drones severed the physical connection between the soldier and the battlefield, turning lethal combat into a remote operation executed from thousands of miles away. As terrorist networks adapted and scattered, the CIA's primary hurdle became pinpointing invisible targets within an overwhelming ocean of global data. To solve this data crisis, the CIA invested in Palantir, a software startup led by Alex Karp and Peter Thiel. Their objective was to aim Silicon Valley's computing power directly at national security. This network graph visualizes Palantir's core AI function. It ingests millions of disparate, chaotic records, bank wires, flight logs, and phone calls, and connects them into a unified, living map. As the system zooms into the node, it strips away anonymity. It exposes hidden safehouses and complex operational patterns that no human analyst could ever detect unaided. Palantir effectively moved the battlefield from a physical location into a digital network, giving the CIA the tools to predict and neutralize threats before they ever materialize in the real world. While territorial proxy wars still force soldiers to take cover in dirt trenches, modern intelligence operations have evolved into invisible, high-tech systems. The United States now faces near-peer competitors like China, who are matching or exceeding American capabilities in artificial intelligence, quantum communications, and hypersonic weapons. Interconnected global networks are fragile. Today, a strategic strike can bypass physical defenses entirely to cripple a city's power grid from the inside. The CIA's evolution marks a shift in where the most decisive battles are fought. Physical territory still matters, but it is now vulnerable to a new kind of digital reach. In this landscape, whoever controls the data controls the world.